Hey guys, today we're going to talk about the PPP and do an update on some new legislation that recently got passed. My name is Andrew McMillan. I'm here with Ray Halstead, and we're with REH CPAs in Mooresville, North Carolina. And you know, the PPP, that's been a massive stimulus bill that has been created, and there's been lots of ups and downs and changes along the way. So we recently got some new guidance. So Ray Halstead, what can you tell us about some of the PPP updates?
So in the ever-changing world of PPP, you know, it seems like something new comes out every day. If you don't like the current plan, wait a week because they're going to change it. It's kind of like the weather, right? So what the SBA and Treasury came out and said, you know, because now we're in this forgiveness phase. They're no longer doing the PPP loan, so now we're in that forgiveness phase, and everybody's kind of hanging out, waiting to see. Right now they have two options. They had the 3508 and the 3508 EZ. Those were the first two forms that you could fill out. The 3508 long form was the more difficult one, where you had to do your qualifying employees and salary reductions. The EZ was a little bit easier if you met certain thresholds. Well, they've come out with this the 3508S, right? The simplified form, which is so much more simple than all the others. You don't have to. So what that means is anybody who's 50,000 or below, anybody who got PPP loans of 50,000 or below can do this 3508S form. And it's a simplified form that basically you just have to go in and make some certifications, stating that you used the funds for certain purposes, things like that. And then you have to provide them with some payroll reports. So much easier form, they're pretty much giving you a easier access to forgiveness for most of the small business owners. And, you know, when we look at how many PPP loans were given, there were approximately 5.2 million PPP loans given. And out of that 5.2 million, 3.6 million were 50,000 and below. So it's going to cover a vast majority of small business owners.
Right. So if beforehand, I felt like if I had a $50,000 PPP loan, I was going to have to do a very long, cumbersome form with documentation and calculations done, but so now I don't have to do that.
Correct. You won't have to do that with this 3508S. It's very simple. So everybody 50,000 and below, this is going to be a very simple form for you to fill out and documentation to provide to your banks. That way they can submit it to the SBA, and you should receive forgiveness.
Okay.
So one of the big things that, you know, we're still waiting to hear about is how is this thing going to be taxed, right? And I think that's on the forefront of my mind anyways. Currently the way the IRS code reads. So when they did this PPP, they first came out and said, we're going to give you these loans, we're going to forgive them, and it's not going to be taxable income. And it was awesome, right? Then the IRS came out and said, that's cool, but whatever expenses you use that PPP funds to pay, you're not going to be able to deduct those expenses. Well, that pretty much just ruined the intent of what the people who drafted the PPP loan. It now, in effect, made it taxable. So let's say you're a small business owner and you got a $100,000 PPP loan, and you were required to use that entire $100,000 to pay out in order to get forgiveness. Well, now you're going to be basically taxed on that $100,000. So you could owe, on $100,000 up to $25,000 on it.
Right.
And the problem is you were required to pay out that $100,000. So you were required to pay out that $100,000. Now you got to come up with $25,000 to pay the taxes on it. So we're really eagerly waiting on legislation to see if they're going to fix that. I really hope they will. I think they will. But as of right now, it's taxable. So.
Right, yeah, it's definitely something to make sure that you prepare yourself for. You see that number and you think logically about, well, now I'm going to have a $25,000 tax bill because of this PPP money.
Right,
maybe.
Absolutely. Well, and the federal is still, so all this is, there's guidance. We know what it is currently. Right. We're just hoping it'll get changed. And with North Carolina has already come out and said, we don't care what the Fed does, we're taxing it.
Right.
So no matter what, you got 5% for North Carolina that you can already go ahead and count on. Now we're just hoping the Fed changes.
So if I'm a small business owner and I know I'm going to get my PPP loan forgiven, I meet all the qualifications. So are you just telling us I should just go ahead and prepare to pay that? How much should I set aside for taxes for this?
Like I said, I usually, without knowing everybody's situation, 25% is a good solid number. 20% Fed, 5% state. But that's not knowing your situation. We're currently doing tax planning now, so if you do feel like you're going to get forgiveness and it's going to be on a pretty sizable PPP loan and you want to understand the tax ramifications, I highly recommend you contact our office and set up an appointment so we can do some tax planning for you.
Yeah, well, I really appreciate you going through that with us. A lot of people got the PPP funds clearly, so we want to make sure that for all of our small business owners, they understand how this is going to affect them. So I appreciate you going through that with us today. And once again, this is Ray Halstead. I'm Andrew McMillan, and we are with REH CPAs in Mooresville, North Carolina. And I appreciate you tuning in with us today.
Thanks.